Welcome back on deynonmod. Today I want to propose you the review about the Allegiance Seraphon from the General Handbook 2017 about a Warhammer Age of Sigmar from the Games Workshop. I remember you that if you want to see the review about the General Handbook 2017 itself, you can find up here the link to find the review itself. And now we can start talking about the battle traits. The first one is the Master of Order, and it's quite interesting, even if only related to Slam Wizards in Seraphon armies. Remember that it applies only Slam Wizards, so Shink Wizards has not access to such battle trait. And it's interesting why, cause it let the Slam Wizard to attempt to unbind enemy spells wherever on the battlefield, so they are not limited to 18 inch from the wizard itself to unbind. So it's really interesting as a battle trait, and it has also a second effect, that is, in the case the Slam Wizard, again, it's not about Shinks or others, only Slam Wizards attempt to cast a spell. If they obtain a double on the dice about the casting, they can add 6 inch to the range of the spell itself. It's useless when you think about Mystic Shield and Arcane Bolt, but if you think in general about summoning and about other enchantments, you can understand that it's really a nice thing to be able to have an adding of 6 inch to the range. So it's really interesting. A pity that it's only referring to Slam Wizard, but anyway, it's quite interesting. And the second trait, that it's Lord of Space and Time, I think that it's even better. Why? Because once per turn, in your hero phase, you can pick one of your Seraphon units anywhere on the battlefield and transport it in another place. You have anyway to roll a dice to see what happens. If you roll a 1, the unit stays where it is and it can't move in other places. So, okay. From 2 to 5, it allows you to transport the unit everywhere on the field. So you take the unit and you move with the only requirement that it has to be more than 9 inch from an enemy unit. So it's really interesting. Okay, it can't move in the movement phase, but it's interesting. Moreover, because if you obtain a 6 on such a die, okay, you can also move in your movement phase. So it's quite interesting because it allows you to recover a unit maybe in a side of the field that you used to hunt some units or such a thing, or to save a unit that it's risk to be hunted, and take it and transport it safe in another place. Moreover, if you obtain also from 2 to 5, but moreover the 6th result to conquer objectives. Why? Because you can move, or you can, if there is not enemy, directly on the objective. Otherwise, you can anyway attempt to charge the enemy. And if you obtain a 6, you can really take and move closer, so contest the objective, or even better, try to assault the enemy units that it's on the objective. So it's really interesting. Moreover, one thing that is not said here but can be interesting, and I don't know if it will be fact about, is that it doesn't say that the units that you pick up can't be the ones that are in close combat. So it can be really interesting in such a way, and it's a thing that you can really use to save units. So surely you can take note about these battle traits and think how to use it. We can now talk about the command traits. Remember that these command traits are valid only if the mod that you choose as general has the keyword Slan or Saurus or Shink. If they have one of these keywords, they have access to the relative command traits that has 3 possible command traits than each one. otherwise you don't have access to these ones. So we start with the slang command traits. The first one is the Arcane Might, that is about rerolling rolls of 1 when making a casting or unbinding rolls for the general. Remember that this goes quite good well with the first of the battle traits, that is Master of Orders, because this lance has the ability with this battle trait combined with this command trait to reroll the one while they can unbind the spell on over or everywhere on the field. So it's really interesting in these ways. And so about the second of the abilities of the battle trait that I said before. Why? Because being able to repeating also the one about casting, there is more possibilities to can be able to cast the double. So to have the increasing, that is the second effect of the Master of Order for the lance. So it's really interesting. Obviously the other result of the die has to be high enough to be able to cast. Anyway, it's really interesting as a thing. The second one instead is Vast Intellect, that allow the Slan general to cast also Curse of Fates and Summon Starlight spells that are respectively from the Chic Priest and Chic Star Priest War Scrolls. Otherwise, it will not be able to do it. I think that it's nice because allow you to have these spells even without having the Shinx. So it's really a nice thing to have if you want to point on the magic side. Instead, the third one, I think that it's one of the best ones, because it allows you to use the second battle trait, Lord of Space and Time, twice instead of once. And so it becomes quite interesting, because it allows you to take 2 units to redeploy. Otherwise, and this is to verify, because it's a bit maybe at limit as thinking, but anyway, I don't think that it follow under one of the rules of the ones, so it should be possible to take the same unit and use the Lord of Space and Time twice on it to try to attempt the result of 6. So it becomes really interesting, or to say 2 units from the combat and move to another way, or the way to conquer 2 different objects. So it's really interesting as a thing. Anyway, I don't know if it will be fact about the W's on the same unit, but it's a possibility for now. I don't see anything that can forbid such a thing, so it should be available as an option. And then we can talk about the Xaurus command traits. The first one is Disciplined Fury, that allow you to reroll the 1 failed hit rolls for the general in each combat phase. And it's quite interesting because the prohibition to apply for the mount it's referred only to magical artifacts and command abilities, and this one it's a command trait. So it's really interesting as a thing because it allows you to be more resilient, the model that is your general, and the Saurus, and being able to be also the riding ones, it becomes much more interesting. The second one instead is the Picking Skilled Hide, that allows you to reroll the save rolls of 1 for the general, and it's interesting because it allows you, combined with the normal resilience, maybe also supported from a Mystic Shield, to the general to be quite heavy to wound, so it's really nice. Instead, the third one, that it's Mighty War Leader, allows you to use Inspiring Presence command ability in the same hero phase that use one other command ability. So you can use 2 command abilities, so you can use the Inspiring Presence to save a unit from a battle shock that risk maybe to be vaporized from the battle shock in that turn, or you want to that unit being able to conquer an objective, and you want to be sure that not mind how many wounds it will suffer, it will be stay there, or other things, and anyway in the same time being able to support the army itself. So it's really interesting as a command trait. I don't know in this case which one I would prefer, but each one of these three is really a nice one. And we can now talk about the Shin command traits, that I think it's the best about the Shin command traits, because it allows you, in the case the general is a Shin priest, to use twice the Celestial Rites ability. So it's really interesting. It's not applied once but twice, because you have to remember what Celestial Rites implies. That ability allows you to select one unit 8 inches away from the model that use it, that usually it's the Shink Priest, and to make it on the 4 plus, reroll the run charge, the charge rolls, and the save rolls. It's really amazing. And it could be used twice. It's amazing because if you do twice on the same unit, you can multiply the amount that it can save. I mean that if the first time it fails, you can attempt the second time. Or anyway, do on 2 different units. Combined, for example, for units that has been subjected to a redeployment from the Lords of Space and Time and suffer the result of the spatial displacement. It can allow you to reroll the charge, so even if the unit is a bit more than 9 inches from the enemy, being able to try twice to do it, it becomes really interesting. Moreover, because even if your general with the Shink keyword is not a Shink priest, it can anyway use such ability. So, without even taking that as a model, you can anyway add this ability to your range. So you can have a general that has your advantages and anyway having access also to this ability. So it's really interesting. The second command trait instead allow you to the general to add 1 to the move characteristic of the model itself. And in addition, if the general is not riding upon a mount, to add 1 to the save rolls for the general itself. This one is not so good, but anyway it allows to save better the general. Okay, it's not bad. Instead, the third one allows you at the start of the command phase in which the general is within 3 inches from an enemy hero, on a 4 plus to make suffer the enemy hero, 1 mortal wound. It's okay, but anyway, considering how resilient are the Shink ones, I don't suggest you to be in the combat phase. So in any case, I think that the first command trait is the best one because it's more useful. And now we can start to talk about the Seraphon artifacts. The first one, that is Zoet Deal, allows you to roll a dice at the start of the first battle round, and in the battle round corresponding to the number, you will able to reroll the failed save rolls for this model. If you obtain a 6, you can decide the battle round in which use such a thing. Sincerely, I don't find use it at all. Sincerely, I don't understand what can be useful because it's too flexible. It doesn't have a good referring, so I don't find it good. I think that it's one of the worst of the artifacts in this case. And the second one, instead, it's quite interesting. It's Incandescent Electricities, and you can consider it as a Ring of Immortality for the death, because it does the same effect. Okay, you can, on a dice, when the model risks to die because he suffered a final wound, on a 3 plus, the model can, before saying that it's dead, attempt to heal the 3 wounds. If it heals enough not to be slain by the wounds that it suffered, you can set it up again within 12 inches from its original location, more than 3 inches away from any enemy model, and if it's impossible, stay there. What is the problem? The problem is that you need to roll a 3 plus. The model has to heal enough, otherwise this object is useless. So anyway, it's a good chance because it lets you to try to save the model, so it's not so bad. The problem is that anyway it's a really thin line on which walking about the model. Anyway, it's an option. It's better than having no save, that not having a final chance anymore. So anyway, it's a good object as a thing. The third one is Blades of Realities, that let you to pick one melee weapon from the bearer and use it to increase the range characteristic of that weapon by 1. Remember that also by rules, such thing can't be applied to the mount. So anyway, it has to be a weapon of the bearer. So it's anyway nothing. Moreover, because you had to think that the Seraphons as heroes and so on doesn't have a good rend. So improving this one, it's not bad. And the fourth one, it's Light of Dracotion. Sincerely, I find it quite interesting because it's a once for battle, because it's like automatical dispelling. It's automatically unbind one spell cast by any enemy wizard within 18 inch. So it means that even if you don't have a slam, but you have another mod that is not a mage, and it can anyway unbind a spell that otherwise you do not have any means to do it. So it's really interesting. Moreover, if you want to unbind for sure a spell that otherwise it will be risk to be really bad for your army to suffer, or it will be a bonus for the enemy. So it's really nice, such a thing. The fifth one instead is Corona Shield, that lets you at the start of any combat phase to roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches from this model. On a roll of 4 or plus, the unit suffer a 1 to subtract from its hit rolls. So it's really interesting. Okay, it applies only for that combat phase, but anyway, it's really interesting because it's not limited to only one unit, but each unit that it's within 3 inches. And anyway, you had to notice that anyway it's a 4 plus to roll to have access to such effect. So anyway, it's a good but with some limitation. It's anyway an interesting artifact. And the sixth is Prism of Amtok. This is one thing that can be used at the start of your movement phase. If you do, you can't move the model in the movement phase, but you can pick an enemy unit within 12 inches from the model, and on a 3 plus, it can suffer D3 mortal wounds. So it's anyway nice. Moreover, if you associate it maybe to a unit that move thanks to the Lord of Space and Time, so you can move it thanks to that. Apply the Prism of Amnitok, so anyway it doesn't count because anyway you do not have been able to, otherwise you roll the 6 to move. Then using this to make suffer on the 3 plus some mortal wounds and then try to charge. So anyway it's quite interesting as artifacts. Making a summary at the end, I think that the Seraphons gained quite a lot, because now they have their own battle traits, their own command traits, their own artifacts, and I think anyway that the slams are the better part in it, because they have a specific battle trait. The third command trait of the slams is quite interesting, because I think that Lords of Space and Time is one of the best of the battle traits. So it's really interesting. Anyway, about command traits, all 3 of ones, the Slam, the Saurus and the Shinx are anyway good. You can choose really quite comfortable from them. So anyway, you have access to something that can be interesting in using. What is a bit less interesting is there are the artifacts that are not so good, but anyway have some option that can be used. So it's something that you can consider about. Anyway, I continue to think that slams will be the mainstream. Anyway, now Seraphons are surely be more playable, and surely we see them more often on the field. So I think that anyway, Seraphon will have something more to say. From deynonmod, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.